the width multiplied by length here is also a constant. So now, so far here we have those functions. So what exactly we just did here, everything that we just did, we just do a specification file of what, of a rectangle, like it's a declaration. So we can access this declaration anywhere in the program that we're going to write. So that's how you do it. You write declarations, and if you see at the end, then there is an end if there to end this. So now I'm going to explain to you guys why do we use that the if and why. Do you remember here is like your own header files, and why do we have define? Why do we have to define it? So those are the things that I'm gonna be explaining now to you guys. So the meaning of, let me just use this side. I hope you can see properly. We have hash in define, in if, let me check if the right one is. So that this one, it's the end if, the end, and also we have a hash and if is, and if at the end is, and if you can see it here, the end if. These ones are the preprocessor. They are preprocessor directive. We call them, they are preprocessor directives. I will just say directives. But this one here, it works as a guard. It's an include guard. The hash it works as a guard. So in other words, this and if and it's a directive. This directive is called a include guard. What is it called? An include guard is like that. Include guard. It's called an include guard. So it prevents the header file from accidentally being included more than once. So it prevents it prevents the header file to be accidentally being included more than once. That's the reason part is like this thing, it can be called many times in a program whereby it's necessary. So with this, then it prevents that, the end if end. So in other words, this one I told you that is called an include guard, and it also the if and here. If you read it properly, you can say that if, it means if not defined. If not defined, this define is called define. If not defined, that's the meaning of, that's what if and stand for. And actually there must not be a e there, it must be if and d, if not defined, without an e. So it means that if not defined. So those are the terms that you must get used to. If the questions they can ask you, so you must remember all these terms. What is the meaning of that? Because in the question you can have a multiple question whereby they will ask you this question, and you find that you know how to program them, but you don't know the meaning of these function, these names here, what's going on. So you might end up failing a very simple question. So that's what I'm trying to help you guys, so that you can know exactly what is the meaning of that, and then when you program it, you will find it more easier. So now we're gonna move to, let's say, a file. This one I have shown you how to write a file for declaration. It was just for declaration of a class. So now let's go if you are going to write a file for the member functions of a class. So which means it's gonna be implementation file for the rectangle class. So we're gonna start exactly the same way. I'm gonna try to do a member functions based on the same program that we've been doing, but I'm going to do them in terms of like the function. This one is just for the main function. So we're gonna, not main function, I mean member functions of the class, public. So we're gonna have a hash include the same way, a hash include because now remember we are not in the int main, we are creating a file. You will put a double quotation mark. You write the name of your file is rectangle the same way. Then after that you will have hash. You can have your hash include for cout, hash include for cout. So if you notice here, we are using a double quotation mark, and here we are using the triangular for cout. I'm going to tell you why we are doing that. You have to know that reason. You can also, depending on question, you can also have you are using namespace. We can even decide, okay, in this code, our member functions that we are going to write, we can, if the length is greater, it's less than 0, because there is no length for the room that can be less than 0, the program must exit. We can also include this header file. Let's include cstd lib for the exit. Then now here we can write our program. We can write our member function. The first member function we have was to set the width, which was void, and then you start with a rectangle. Even when I'm saying rectangle, it's supposed to appear. So now when you write here, you will see that when I say rectangle, it's not appearing because we are in different file. It's like we are in different file, but it's just that I'm working in the same file. We're gonna start with rectangle, set width. Our set width was double inside. We can name it maybe for set width double W. Then what are we going to do there? Here we are going to set the width. We can use an if statement to say if our width, which is W, is greater than equals to 0, because the room must have the width of greater than 0, then we can set the width now, which is going to be equals to W. Else, if this thing is false, then our program, it must exit. We can just even give a message to a person who's reading or else working with our program that is an invalid width. Then we use the exit method. When we use the exit, we can include the exit